A research note from Tourism Economics, which is part of Oxford Economics, says international arrivals to the U.S. are expected to fall about 9% this year.
The likes of New York, Los Angeles or Nashville are bucket list destinations for millions of holiday makers. But since Donald Trump returned to office, some travellers are steering clear of the US, a loss predicted to cost billions.
While every other major destination on Earth is preparing for a tourism boom in 2025, America stands alone as the only country forecasted to see international visitor spending decline. We're talking about a staggering $12.5 billion loss, with some estimates reaching $29 billion. International overnight arrivals have plummeted 8.2%, and in cities like New York, the drop is a devastating 17%. The land of dreams is becoming the land of empty hotel rooms, and the world is quietly turning away from what was once the ultimate bucket list destination. Before we go ahead, hit like and subscribe for more updates. Something strange is happening in 2025. For decades, the United States stood tall as the dream destination, the land of skyscrapers, movie stars, and bucket list vacations. But this year, that dream is cracking. Global tourism is changing fast, and for the first time in a generation, the US isn't on the winning side. In the past, travelers came not just for the views, but for what America represented: freedom, innovation, opportunity. But now, people are second-guessing. They're skipping the Statue of Liberty, avoiding Times Square, choosing other destinations, not because of distance or price, but because something deeper is shifting. The numbers paint a stark picture. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, the United States is the only country globally expected to lose international visitor spending this year. While tourism industries worldwide celebrate recovery and growth, America faces an unprecedented crisis that's been 8 months in the making. Florida has joined Hawaii, Michigan, Illinois, Massachusetts, and Arizona in experiencing dramatic tourism drops. Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, has seen visitor volume decline by 8% compared to the previous year. But perhaps most telling of all is America's shrinking slice of the global tourism pie. The United States' share of international travel has fallen from 8.4% in 1996 to just 4.9% in 2024, and that decline is accelerating rapidly in 2025. In country after country, we're seeing the same pattern. Hesitation, not loud, not dramatic, but steady and growing. Business travel is stalling. Student exchanges are declining. Entire airline routes are quietly disappearing. And the data doesn't lie. American tourism is no longer the safe bet it once was. Let's start with our closest neighbor. The fallout from Canada has been the steepest, with land crossings contracting by 28% and air arrivals dropping 13.3% year-to-date. Forbes reported that in April alone, air travel to the US from Canada dropped nearly 20%, while land border crossings fell over 35%. Canadian media and forums are filled with discussions urging travelers to skip the States and spend their money elsewhere. Canadian airlines are responding decisively. Air Canada has reduced routes to US cities and increased flights to Latin America and Europe instead. Global news outlets have highlighted a growing trend of Canadians cancelling Florida vacations and buying properties in Portugal or Mexico instead. The psychological shift is profound. America's most reliable tourism partner is actively looking elsewhere. But Canada isn't alone. Across Europe and Asia, travelers report rising concerns about US immigration policies, long border waits, aggressive questioning, and even racial profiling. National headlines are filled with stories of detentions and visa denials, even for professionals and students. These aren't rumors. They're real events, documented, shared, and amplified across social media platforms and international news outlets. In Germany, the government officially updated its travel guidance after several German citizens, including students, were detained at American airports. According to Reuters, the German Foreign Ministry stated that even a valid visa no longer guarantees entry into the US. This represents a diplomatic crisis masquerading as a tourism problem. In Japan, NHK, the national broadcaster, covered multiple incidents of engineers and tourists being held for hours by US customs officers, fueling frustration among businesses and universities. Japanese corporate travel budgets are increasingly being redirected to European and Southeast Asian destinations where business travelers face fewer complications. Australia's response has been equally concerning. SmartTraveller, the government's travel advisory service, issued multiple warnings about inconsistent airport security and increased scrutiny at US borders. Meanwhile, Flight Centre, the country's largest travel agency, reported a 16% drop in US bookings while travel to Japan and New Zealand surged. On social media, Australians share stories of invasive phone checks, long delays, and general unease. One traveller described their experience. "I was questioned by one of the officers, and then shortly after, my mother and I were taken into a room. We were held there for quite some time before my mum was released, and then I was unfortunately remaining behind for further interrogation, and then that was about a 4 to 5 hour ordeal before I was taken to the Federal Detention Centre." News.com.au ran a widely shared article describing first-hand accounts of travelers being ordered to unlock their phones or face immediate deportation. These stories spread rapidly through social networks, creating a chilling effect that extends far beyond those directly affected. The recent hike in US tourist visa fees to $250 has only accelerated this decline. For many international families, this represents a significant barrier, especially when combined with uncertainty about the actual entry process. Travel research firm Tourism Economics attributed much of the decrease to trade wars and fears about getting ensnared in immigration enforcement. This isn't just about tourism anymore. It's about identity, values, and reputation. For many international travelers, America once symbolized optimism and possibility. Now, it often represents uncertainty and potential humiliation at border crossings. Let's not ignore the political elephant in the room. Serious tariffs, trade tensions, and diplomatic friction don't just impact policy, they ripple down to everyday travelers. Flights get cancelled, insurance premiums rise, and confidence in the travel experience falters. The response from the international community has been swift and decisive. In France, Le Monde published a front-page piece suggesting that America has lost its romantic image. French travel agencies report double-digit declines in US bookings, with many travelers now opting for Spain, Greece, or Quebec instead. The French no longer view the US as a guaranteed ally. Polls show that over 70% of French citizens now hold unfavorable views of American leadership, and this sentiment directly translates into travel decisions. The economic implications extend far beyond simple visitor statistics. In 2024, nearly 90% of all tourism spending came from domestic travel. But this heavy reliance on homegrown tourism is masking a serious vulnerability. The international market is where real growth lies, and America is systematically alienating these high-value visitors. Industries that rely on foreign tourists, such as hospitality, retail, and transportation, are bracing for continued declines. Hotels in major gateway cities are reporting unprecedented cancellation rates. Luxury retailers in New York, Los Angeles, and Miami are seeing international sales plummet. Even theme parks in Florida, traditionally buoyed by international families, are adjusting their projections downward. The ripple effects extend to education as well. International student enrollment, long a source of both cultural exchange and economic benefit, is declining as families question whether their children will be welcomed or face harassment at border crossings. This represents a long-term threat to America's soft power and intellectual competitiveness. Airlines are making strategic adjustments that could have lasting consequences. Routes that were once profitable are being eliminated or reduced in frequency. International carriers are shifting capacity to other markets, and once these routes disappear, they can take years to re-establish. The tourism industry employs millions of Americans and contributes hundreds of billions to the economy annually. When international visitors stop coming, it's not just statistics that suffer, it's real jobs, real businesses, and real communities that depend on global tourism. But perhaps most concerning is the speed of this decline. Unlike previous tourism downturns that were typically triggered by external events like economic recessions or natural disasters, this crisis is largely self-inflicted. America's policies and practices are actively discouraging visitors who want to spend money and experience what the country has to offer. The world still wants to believe in the US, American culture, music, technology, and innovation continue to be admired globally. Hollywood movies still top international box office charts. American brands remain desirable. The fundamental appeal of America hasn't disappeared. But in 2025, admiration isn't enough. What people want now is respect, safety, and consistency. They want to feel welcome, not interrogated. They want their vacation to be memorable for the right reasons, not because they spent hours in detention or faced discriminatory treatment at airports. Can this trend reverse? Absolutely. But it's going to take more than flashy advertising campaigns or tourism board promotions. It will require fundamental reforms to how America treats foreign visitors. That means clearer, more consistent border policies, cultural sensitivity training for immigration officers, and deeper cooperation with foreign consulates and governments. Tourism isn't just economics, it's diplomacy. It's storytelling. It's how people relate to a place before they ever step foot in it. Every negative experience gets shared exponentially through social media, creating lasting damage to America's reputation that takes years to repair. When visitors stop coming, it's not just lost money. It's lost trust, lost relationships, and lost opportunities for cultural exchange. If America wants to remain a beacon of inspiration and opportunity, it must repair more than runways and renovate more than hotels. It must repair its image and rebuild trust with the international community. Maybe that starts with empathy, with realizing that every traveler, every passport carries a story and deserves dignity. Every visitor represents not just economic opportunity, but a chance to share what makes America special and to learn from different perspectives and cultures. In 2025, America stands at a crossroads. The country can continue down the path of isolation and suspicion, watching as the world's travelers choose other destinations and other experiences. Or it can recognize that true strength comes from confidence, not fear, and that the greatest nations are those that welcome the world with open arms. The choice is clear, and the time is now. Because in the global competition for hearts, minds, and tourism dollars, America is losing, and rebuilding that trust begins with acknowledging that the problem exists and committing to meaningful change. The world is watching, and right now, they're choosing to watch from somewhere else. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and make sure to subscribe for more updates on the evolving tourism trends.